The origins of the Hare Krishna movement. The movement that brings us this precious fruit of India's spiritual heritage was incorporated in New York City in 1966. Though it sprouted from the seeds of a religious and cultural system that is thousands of years old. These seeds were brought west by Swami Prabhupada, mentioned above, who was instructed to do so by his own spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, 1874–1937. Now, an instruction is one thing, and executing it is another. Prabhupada did more than merely take this instruction seriously. He took it to unimaginable places with a vision and strategic excellence that is the stuff of legend. Colorful ISKCON flowers made themselves visible by the 1970s and continued to blossom into a formidable tree of love of God, offering the world the few fruits mentioned above and so much more. ISKCON's theological roots can be understood in terms of two historical paradigms, one modern and one ancient. The modern form of the movement reaches back in the 16th century Bengal, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu (1486–1533), the word religious ecstatic, who fully embodied the movement's teachings, practices, and goals, vibrated a song of universal love. This song's main chorus centered on the chanting of the holy names of God, especially the Mahamantra, or the great chant for deliverance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What does the mantra mean? The word Hare is the vocative form of Mother Hara, another name for Radha, Krishna's eternal consort and the very embodiment of devotional service, bhakti. Rama is another name for Krishna, meaning he who gives his devotees the highest pleasure. Thus, in brief translation, the chant may be rendered as follows: O Lord, O energy of the Lord, Radha, please engage me in your divine service. This practice of reciting mantras is rooted in earlier Vedic texts. Vedic literature constitutes the scriptural legacy of ancient India, where glorification of God's names is recommended as the most effective form of yoga for the modern age. Historically, such chanting has been embraced by all Vaishnavas, devotees of Vishnu or Krishna, particularly Gaudiya Vaishnavas, or their particular Bengali branch that descends from Lord Chaitanya. In the late 15th century, European kings sent their heroic explorers in search of new routes to treasure-filled India. Many returned home on ships laden with silks, spices, artworks, and magnificent jewels. But they bypassed India's real treasure, which was just then being widely distributed by Lord Chaitanya. Prior to Chaitanya's time, reawakened of Krishna Bhakti or devotion to Krishna had swept the subcontinent, drawing on centuries-old Sanskrit texts and vernacular poetry composed by Chaitanya's immediate predecessors. Now Chaitanya and his followers were filling filling in the missing pieces by showing how to put this deep theology into practice and by emphasizing the power of the holy name. In this way, Chaitanya pioneered a great social and spiritual movement that continues to spread its profound influence worldwide. At the very least, he transformed India in four respects: philosophically, by establishing the logic of a personal absolute named Krishna and the need for rendering loving service to him; socially, by opposing the blindly rigid caste system and setting in place a universal doctrine that is open to all; politically, by organizing India's first civil disobedience movement against a repressive government; and most important, spiritually, by teaching and demonstrating that love for Krishna is the secret meaning behind all Vedic texts, the cooling balm to heal all the world's woes, and the ultimate non-sectarian truth for which everyone is searching. Again, Chaitanya's movement came to be called Gaudiya Bengali or Chaitanyite Vaishnavism, but as stated, it was deeply rooted in the much older tradition of Krishna Bhakti. To this end, it makes use of standard classical texts like the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and the Srimad Bhagavatam, and in this sense it is quite orthodox. It claims affiliation with the prestigious Brahma Madhva Sampradaya lineage and can trace its teaching to Brahma, the father of created universe. This is the second historical paradigm by which ISKCON can be understood. In this context, it is called Sanatana Dharma, or the eternal function of the soul. To briefly elaborate, Chaitanya did not begin his mission to teach something new. Rather, his purpose was to reveal deeper esoteric truths found at the core of the ancient Vedic tradition. Moreover, his teaching embodies the original spiritual truth found in all religion. Thus, it is not merely Hindu dogma, but rather a transcendental science that benefits everyone, regardless of religious or sectarian affiliation. This, in fact, is what the Hare Krishna movement teaches about its own tradition. Prabhupada faithfully carried on in this same spirit, claiming that his only credit was that he did not change anything, but delivered the teaching as it is. God's revealed word, Prabhupada told his followers, is the absolute truth. For our part, he said, we can only follow this truth and convey it to others without interpolation or change. Moreover, unlike other gurus and God-men from India, Prabhupada was adamant that a human being should not be identified with God. He claimed that he was merely God's humble servant and that he was ready, willing, and able to teach others how to serve in this same capacity.